Eagle 95.1, WUPN, Paradise, Sault Ste. Marie.
It's time for The Game. Eagle 95.1 proudly brings you The Game, the Twin Sault's only regional and national sports show. For the next hour, we'll get an in-depth look at sports in the Eastern Upper Peninsula and Algoma region and hear from coaches and players involved in The Game. Now, let's join Scott Nason at the Wicked Sister on Ashman Street in downtown Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan, for tonight's broadcast of The Game on Eagle 95.1.
Time to play the game. Time to play the game.
Greetings and salutations and welcome to The Game on this Tuesday night, May 22nd, 2018. My name is Scott Nason, broadcasting from the Wicked Sister on Ashman Street on this beautiful day in Sault Ste. Marie. Temperatures up into the mid to upper 70s, lots of people outside, and always a good time to come down to the Wicked Sister after a day working or maybe out working in the yard. They got lots of good things going on at the Wicked Sister, good drink specials, great food, and more. And always going on at the Wicked Sister is catering. So if you have a business luncheon where you want to impress your clients, you want to maybe treat your staff, let the Wicked Sister do the catering for you. Just call them at 906-259-1086 or stop down to the Wicked Sister, talk to Kathy or any of the staff here, and they will set you up. Coming up here in the next segment, we'll be talking to the brand new Soo Eagles head coach, Doug Laprade, who will join us here at the Wicked Sister. Looking forward to the 2018-19 hockey season already. Then we'll be joined by Butch Davis from the Telegram News and Butch on Sports, who will get us up to date on the Metro Detroit sports scene. We'll also be talking to E.J. Russell, who will be joining us on the roundtable portion of the show, and we'll be joined by Dave McCaig from Soo, Ontario, who will give us an update on the Soo, Ontario and Toronto sports scene. Well, lots going on in the world of local sports, and let's get our listeners up to date from this past week's action in high school baseball, softball, and track and field. Going back to last Tuesday, baseball in Rudyard finally had their home opener on May 15th as the Rudyard Bulldogs won a pair of games over Ellsworth as they defeat Ellsworth twice, winning 10-0 in Game 1. Trent McDowell and Dylan Mills combined for a one-hitter for the Bulldogs, while McDowell went 2 for 3 from the plate and had a pair of RBIs. The Bulldogs also won Game 2 this past Tuesday by the score of 12-2. Mills and Tanner Norton had the pitching duties for Rudyard, while Gavin Smith and Tyler Spencer had a single and double each. Last Tuesday in Sheboygan, the Newberry Indians and Sheboygan Chiefs split a Straits Area Conference doubleheader. Alex Henry had an RBI single in the 6th inning to lift Newberry to a 4-3 victory in Game 1. Henry went 3 of 4 for the Indians, while Blake Jordan and Jackson McCudden had 2 hits each. McCudden also earned the win on the mound, striking out 6. The Chiefs would come back to win the nightcap 10-0 in 5 innings. Matthew Berry and Blake Jordan had 2 hits for Newberry in that second game. Softball at Soo High this past Tuesday, and it was the Soo High Blue Devils sweeping the St. Ignace Saints in Straits Area Conference play at Losey Field. The Blue Devils won Game 1 by the score of 12-4. Marin McLean had 3 doubles to lead Soo High's 13-hit attack in the opener. Megan Young was also 3 for 3 with a double for Soo High, and Madison Odell had 5 RBIs. Soo High won Game 2 this past Tuesday by a score of 14-1 over St. Ignace. Lindsay Albin had 2 hits and 2 RBIs for the Sioux and Lauren LaJoy had 4 RBIs. Rudyard Bulldogs softball team also had their home opener this past Tuesday, and they swept Ellsworth in a pair of games. Rudyard would win Game 1 by the score of 9-3. Sierra Molina had a single, double, and 2 RBIs, while Haley Van Sloten had 2 hits and 3 RBIs for Rudyard. Emily Curtis earned the win on the mound, allowing just 3 runs and striking out 10. Rudyard would win the second game by the score of 14-2. Bailey Van Sloten and Jordan Spring had 3 hits each for Rudyard, while Morgan Bickle earned the win on the mound, allowing just 2 runs and striking out 7. Baseball continued last week on Thursday, and it was the Brimley Bays sweeping the St. Ignace Saints in high school baseball as they had a pair of no-hitters. As Brimley Bays' Jake Hopper pitched the no-hitter in Game 1 as Brimley beat St. Ignace by the score of 11-0. Hopper had 12 strikeouts and walked 2. He also helped his own cause by going 2 for 3 with the home run. And Brendan Shornack also went 2 for 3 in Game 1 for Brimley. The Bays would win Game 2 by the score of 18-1 in 3 innings. Sam Hopper pitched the no-hitter. He did give up a run and allowed 2 walks, striking out 7. Ty Miller and Hunter Lipponen were both 3 for 3 with 2 RBIs for Brimley in their second game. Rudyard Bulldogs split a pair of baseball games on Thursday at Harbor Springs. The Rams won the opener 5-2. Dylan Mills had the lone hit for the Bulldogs in Game 1. Rudyard responded with a 5-3 win in Game 2. Trent McDowell and Gavin Smith had the doubles in the nightcap for Rudyard, while Tanner Norton had a pair of RBIs. Tyler Spencer started the game, giving up 3 runs, while Robert Mulaski pitched 3 scoreless innings for the Bulldogs in Game 2. Softball on Thursday, Sioux High was at Petoskey, and the Northmen swept a pair of non-conference games. Petoskey won Game 1 by the score of 4-3. Matty Fitzpatrick had a double and RBI in Game 1 for the Blue Devils and pitched, allowing 4 runs and 6 hits while striking out 4. Petoskey would win Game 2 by the score of 13-2. Marin McLean was 3 for 3, including a double. How about Emily Curtis? Boy, did she have a week, and she had 2, count them 2, no-hitters on Thursday in Harbor Springs as the Rudyard Bulldogs swept the Rams. Rudyard won Game 1 by the score of 19-0 in 3 innings, as Curtis just needed 37 pitches for the no-hitter, striking out 3 and walking one, I should say. Rudyard had 19 hits in the opener, including Bailey Van Sloten, who had 2 doubles, a triple, and 4 RBIs. Morgan Bickle had 3 hits and 3 RBIs, while Lane Clegg had 2 hits and 4 RBIs for the Bulldogs. Rudyard would win Game 2 by the score of 15-0. It was Curtis's second no-hitter, as she needed just 35 pitches. Technically, it was a perfect game because she did not allow a walk, and she had 5 strikeouts. Haley Van Sloten was 2 for 4 with a home run and 4 RBIs in the nightcap for the Bulldogs. And so Rudyard would continue to have a very good week, which we'll talk about here in a moment. Baseball on Friday at Sioux High. It was a battle, always a battle when these two teams face each other, Rudyard and Sioux. And, well, it was the Sioux High Blue Devils winning both games. On Friday at the James Field, the Blue Devils won the first game by the score of 7-0. Shane Thompson allowed just 5 hits in 6 innings while striking out 6 en route to the shutout. Alex Morehouse was 2 of 2 for the Blue Devils, including a triple and RBI, while Drew Larson added a single, double, and had 2 runs scored. Along with an RBI, Tanner Norton hit a double for Rudyard in Game 1. Game 2 was a bit closer, but won by Sioux High. The Blue Devils broke a 1-1 tie with a 3-run home run by Avery Tanaik in the top of the 5th inning to get the 4-2 victory. Logan Bailey gave up 2 runs on 5 hits over 5 2/3 innings for the win. Tanaik and Matt Knowles were both 2 of 3 from the plate, while Dylan Mills had 2 hits for Rudyard. And yesterday, lots of baseball and softball, including at Sioux High, as the Sioux High Blue Devils, for the second straight year, go undefeated in the Straits Area Conference, a perfect 10-0 record, as they swept the Sheboygan Chiefs at James Field. The Blue Devils won the opening game 11-0. Shane Thompson earned the win in Game 1, allowing just 2 hits and striking out 7, while Drew Larson hit a home run, went 2 of 4 with 3 RBIs. Avery Tanaik and Thompson were both 2 of 2 for the Sioux High Blue Devils in Game 1, and the Blue Devils would continue their winning ways in Game 2, beating Sheboygan yesterday by the score of 3-1. Jake Gates pitched a complete game for the Blue Devils, allowing just 1 run on 3 hits, while striking out 8. Gates was also 2 of 3 at the plate for the Blue Devils, and the Sioux High pitchers yesterday did not allow a walk. The Blue Devils, now 14-11 overall, will have their final home game on Thursday at James Field against the Sault, Ontario Nighthawks. Baseball in Rudyard yesterday, it was all Bulldogs as they swept St. Ignace. Rudyard won the opening game by the score of 16-1 in 3 innings. Gavin Smith was 3 for 3 for the Bulldogs with 4 RBIs, while Robert Molaski hit a pair of doubles and Dylan Mills hit a triple. Molaski earned a win, giving up just 1 run on 2 hits. And in the second game, it was all Rudyard as they crushed St. Ignace, winning by the score of 27-2 in 5 innings. James Burton hit a home run, while Trent McDowell and Gavin Smith had triples for the Bulldogs. Noel McLeod and Burton both had 5 RBIs. So the Bulldogs, 16-12 overall, are hosting Gladstone as we record this show on Tuesday night. And a couple softball matchups yesterday, including at Soo High as the Sheboygan Chiefs complete a perfect 10-0 season in the Straits Area Conference as they swept the Soo High Blue Devils at Losey Field, winning the first game 12-1 in 5 innings. Matty Fitzpatrick hit a triple for Soo High and scored the lone run as Lindsey Albin went 2 for 2. Sheboygan also won Game 2 by the score of 10-5. Madison Odell hit a pair of doubles, while Fitzpatrick hit a triple, drove in 4 runs. And senior day for Soo High is Friday at Losey Field, as they will take on Rapid River starting at 2:30. I was down in Rudyard for softball yesterday, umpiring, and boy, a couple good games for the Bulldogs as they won a pair over the St. Ignace Saints. And once again, Emily Curtis, boy, did she have a good week. She had a great week for Rudyard, including earning both wins on the mound. Yesterday, she pitched a 2-hitter in the opener as the Rudyard Bulldogs won by the score of 14-1. Curtis struck out 6 and didn't allow a walk. Sierra Molina and Autumn Lemmerman had a pair of hits for the Bulldogs, while Lauren Royer hit a triple. Haley Van Sloten added a double and 2 RBIs, and Bailey Van Sloten scored 3 runs for the Bulldogs, as Curtis continued her brilliance in Game 2, pitching a shutout, allowing just 2 hits, striking out 8, and not walking a batter for the second straight game, as the Soo High Blue Devil, or I should say the Rudyard Bulldogs, defeated St. Ignace by the score of 12-0. Lane Clegg 2 for 3 for the Bulldogs with 4 RBIs, and Morgan Bickle was 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs, as the Bulldogs now improved to 21-5-1 on the season, and are currently at Manistee today as we record this show on Tuesday night. Boy, they are a fun team to watch. They just play the game fundamentally sound. They have pitchers that throw strikes. You have 1 through 9 hitters that can all hit. And Rudyard's going to be a tough team to beat in the Division 4 districts, regionals, and who knows, maybe more after that. Coming up here in our next segment, we'll be talking to Soo Eagles' brand new head coach, Doug Laprade, as Dougie will be joining us to talk about his route to the Soo Eagles and what plans he has in store. And going on right now at the athletic field is the Straits Area Conference Track and Field Championships. Had a chance to drive by as I got here. Nice to see the track in use. It's been a few years since we've seen the track in use, but lots of people out there. Now, we won't have those results, but we do have a lot of results from the regionals that were performed, or I should say raced or run last week, including at Pickford for Division 3 last Thursday, as the Pickford boys and Brimley girls were the regional team leaders, as area athletes made their bids to qualify for the UP Track and Field Finals, which will be held on Saturday, June 2nd in Kingsford. Pickford won the boys' meet with 75 points. Brimley was runner-up, while Rudyard was third. David Naback won the 110 and 300 hurdles, while John Lamoth won the 100 dash for Pickford. He also won the pole vault. Event winners for the Panthers included Mitchell Satchel in the 800, Mitchell Miller in discus, Joy Boyk in long jump, and Garrett Dodds in shot put. Mitchell Satchel, Garrett Reed, Jacob Satchel, and Lamoth won the 1600 relay. Brimley's Austin Plotkin won the 3200, and Caleb Johansson won the high jump. The Bay's Cameron Hornstra, Plotkin, Hunter Lipinen, and Danny Anderson won the 3200 relay, while Zach Indish, Danny Anderson, Mason Harris, and Zach Gross won the 800 relay. Thomas Bone of Cedarville won the 400 and 1600, while Kenneth Bowers, Maxwell Trotter, Noah Garrison, and Jesse Carter Powell of Rudyard won the 400 relay. For the girls, it was Brimley winning the meet, while Pickford was second, followed by Cedarville. Caitlin Kroll and Tamisha Archambault were double event winners for Brimley. Kroll won the 100 and 200, while Archambault claimed the shot put and discus. Event winners for the Bays included Haley Gambardella in the 400, Kendra Carrick in the 3200, The Bays, Gambardella, Lillian Thomas, Krull, and Abby LaRue won the 800 relay, while Julia Stenglin, Caden Johnson, Cora Black, and LaRue won the 400 relay. Taylor Apolka of Pickford won the 100 hurdles and long jump. Cassie Cottle won the pole vault. Cassidy Barr of Cedarville took first in the 800 and 1600. The Trojans' Carolyn Friel, Zoe Ator, Meredith Emming, and Cassidy Barr won the 3200 relay, while Sydney Zurup of Rudyard won the 300 hurdles, and Rachel Beelan, Sierra Dugan, Jaden Mesnard, and Zurup took first in the 1600 relay. Finally, Sierra Burton won the high jump for the Detour Raiders. Division II regionals were run in Manistee last Thursday, and it was the Manistee Emeralds winning the meet over Ishpeming, who finished second, and it was St. Ignace, won the the girls regional over Manistee. Event winners for St. Ignace were Libby Baker in the 1600, 800, and 3200, and the 1600 relay team. Emily Koivu won the 200 and 400, while Keisha Davis was first in the shot put and discus. Ishpeming would win the boys meet with Newberry second and St. Ignace third. Newberry's Ethan Edwards won the pole vault, with the Indians also winning the 400 and 800 relays. St. Ignace's Tucker Shepard won the 100 and 300 hurdles. And in Division I in Marquette just edged out the Soo High Blue Devils in girls by 1/2 a point, as Menominee was third. Event winners for the Blue Devils included Jordan Scott in the 100 dash. Emily McLean won the shot put, and the Sioux also won the 400, 1600, and 3200 relays. Marquette won the boys meet, while Soo High finished fifth. And the top 4 event finishers in all the regionals qualify for trips to the UP Finals, which will be held, as I mentioned, in Kingsford. And those will be held on Saturday, June 2nd. So we'll have those results on our next show, because next week we will not have the game because of umpiring and other commitments, and Memorial Day being next week. So our next broadcast will be on Monday, the first Monday in June, which will be June 4th. And during the summer, we're going to be broadcasting on Mondays. So that is the plan here throughout the rest of the summer. And then going into the high school sports season, which will resume in the fall. So we'll be here every Monday, around maybe a couple times where we have vacations and other commitments. But we'll be here on Monday nights here at the Wicked Sister from 6 to 8 o'clock. Well, we talked about it last week, the Lake Superior State University's Board of Trustees' decision to close the pool. And there was a little more clarification throughout the week as President Peter Mitchell appeared yesterday before the Sault Ste. Marie City Commission to explain the decision to eliminate the swimming pool at the North Center. And there are a lot of people upset about this. This is something that's been in the community for, my lifetime, over 40 years. And the university citing cost and upgrade, what it would cost to upgrade it, has made the decision to close down the pool effective July 31st. And in its place, they are going to be redoing the locker rooms. They're also going to be having a women's volleyball court. They're also going to be having opportunities for the growing esports gaming trend. And one of the commissioners there, Don Gary, made the comment about the North Center being built in the 70s. It was constructed with state funds and locals pitching in money, what was believed to be a community building, and questioned the lack of public input in the month leading up to the final decision. Well, Mitchell yesterday said that he takes full blame for not sharing this with the community, and says at the end of the day, the decision was one that they had to make. And I'm not in support, there's a little editorial on my part, not in support of closing the pool. I understand that there are cost concerns, and I guess the biggest thing that I scratch my head about is the lack of community input. And that's one of the things that we see around this community, and not just Lake Superior State and the pool, but we've seen it with the public schools and the decision to have the 5th graders go to the middle school. That was kind of done without the public community's involvement. And if there's big decisions that need to be made like this that affect the community needs to be involved in the process, in my opinion. And it's a shame that they weren't involved with this. And I understand the university has deadlines, they have bottom lines to make, I should say, and again, involve the community. One of the biggest issues, in my opinion, with Lake Superior State University and the community of Sault Ste. Marie is they are separate. They are not one and the same. Marquette, Northern Michigan, I think you combine those two. Michigan Tech, Houghton, I think you combine those two. Lake Superior State and Sault Ste. Marie, you don't really combine those two, in my opinion, and it's decisions like this and not involving the community in something that affects members of the community, whether it be for physical therapy, whether it be for Special Olympics, whether it be for just recreational swimming. If you don't invite them to the table or notify them that, hey, by the way, the pool might be closing here in a couple months, that's why you get some pushback. And so I think everybody involved needs to do a better job in involving members of the community and connecting Sault Ste. Marie and Lake State. It's something that definitely needs to be improved, in my opinion. It's something that they've said they are trying to improve, but when something like this happens, you scratch your head and wonder, are there improvements being made? Again, that's my editorial. That's my opinion. Take it as you will. Other hockey notes, we're going to talk more about hockey with Dave McCaig coming up in our final segment today, but the Memorial Cup going on right now in Regina, Saskatchewan, and Hamilton, the Ontario Hockey League's representative, got their first win of the tournament as they defeated Swift Current by the score of 2-1. And you have the Quebec team, Acadie Bathurst, right now is the only undefeated team, 2-0. As they knocked off Swift Current, and they'll play Hamilton tonight. They also knocked off Regina. And so it looks like it's going to be like this. Swift Current is going to need to beat Regina tomorrow to get to the semifinals. Hamilton's in good position. If they win tonight over the Quebec team, they're in. Quebec's already in. Then you have Regina with the win they're in. We'll talk more about that with Dave McCaig coming up. Also, want to mention that the RBC Cup was played this past Sunday, and congratulations to the Chilliwack Chiefs as they win the RBC Cup as they defeated Wellington by the score of 4-2, officially closing out the junior hockey season, the CJHL. Of course, if the Eagles or Thunderbirds would have made it all the way through the Dudley into the RBC Cup, that's who would have been playing there potentially. We're going to take a break here on the game. We come back. We're going to hear from Doug Laprade, the brand new head coach for the Soo Eagles, as he will join us and talk about tryout camp, which they had a couple weeks ago at the Big Bear Arena. Talk about the summer off season, his plans for the Soo Eagles, and what other things he has in store. We also have a new commitment as far as one of the former Eagles players that we can talk about. That's coming up next on the game here on Eagle 95.1.
Get Wicked Catering from the crew at the Wicked Sister.
We like to think of ourselves as foodies. While our favorite foods are paired with a beer tasting at the Wicked Sister, you can now have the same creative menu for your next catered business luncheon, family get-together, wedding, or holiday party. Our white truffle risotto appeals to your gluten-free and vegetarian guests. Add sautéed shrimp or freshly grilled chicken for a pop of protein. Or let us build you a custom menu to suit your needs. From plated events of 15 to buffets for 200, the Wicked Sister will cater your event with tapas, snacks, cravables, or a full sit-down dinner.
The Wicked Sister, where you'll be treated like family, whether you like it or not.
The Game Sports Show would like to thank an additional sponsor and additional home to the Game Sports Show, Sports Center Bar and Grill. Sports Center Bar and Grill, located on 624 Wellington Street West, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Sports Center rated top sports bar for the second year in a row. At Sports Center, enjoy their famous 75-cent wing night along with delicious Molson products on tap, along with a great atmosphere and other great food options available as well. Sports Center Bar and Grill, the Sioux's best sports bar.
Welcome back to the game on Eagle 95.1. Scott Nason broadcasting from the Wicked Sister on Ashman Street on this beautiful Tuesday night. Come on down, join us at the Wicked Sister. They have drink specials, they have lots on the menu, and let them do your catering. If you have a business lunch, you want to impress friends, you want to maybe treat your coworkers to a fabulous lunch, the Wicked Sister can help out. Just come on down, talk to any staff member, and they will set you up. We are joined here at the Wicked Sister by the brand new Soo Eagles head coach, Doug Laprade. Doug, welcome to the game, and first of all, congratulations on the new gig, sir.
Thank you, Scott. I appreciate that, and I appreciate the opportunity to come on with you.
Well, Doug, you and I have talked for a while as far as different coaching positions you've had, also have known you for a long time. I guess the first question I want to ask you is, how did you get to become the Soo Eagles head coach? At what point were you approached, and at what point did you figure out, you know, I got a business here in town, but this seems like a pretty good idea to coach some junior hockey?
Well, first of all, we've known each other a long time. You played trumpet at my wedding.
Oh, my.
So
I did?
You did.
Oh, my.
So
I did not realize
you
that.
don't even remember that.
I don't. I must have been under some influence of something.
26. My wife's going to kill me. 26 years this August.
Well, I'm going to have to ask her when I played, but she also was the teacher of one of my sons. So obviously we've known each other a long time.
Yeah.
I'm glad. I'm going to have to remember that.
Yeah. The opportunity came about soon after the season. The team, Bruno and I have been friends, acquaintances and friends for quite a while. When he first came in town, I was coaching high school. I was coaching the Blue Devils. And we were at the Puller at the time, and the Eagles would practice right before us, and we'd come on after them. And Bruno would stay a lot and watch our practices and watch some of our kids, and so we kind of got a little dialogue going at that point. Excuse me. And then, as time went on, I left Soo High, and I went to Lake State to help Jim Rock, and I recruited some of his players and kind of kept in touch with him that way. And so we've always had a really good relationship. With regards to hockey and on and off the ice, I suppose, if you want to say it that way. As far as this year goes, I'm not really 100% sure what the reasoning was in Bruno's mind as far as the coaching job goes. I know that Jim has, and I have utmost respect for Jim. I've known him for probably 30 years.
Yeah.
And unfortunately his wife's going through some things, and they're going through some things together. And I think Jim needed to spend some time, and the utmost respect for him, and prayers for him and his family. And but we really didn't get into that. And it's really kind of none of my business, obviously. So,
sure.
We just spoke a little bit after Bruno had decided that, or Bruno and Jim had decided to move on. Bruno contacted me after that, and we kind of went from there. So,
and Doug, you're entering a franchise that has been here. I believe this will be the 11th season that the Eagles have been in Sault Ste. Marie, and I believe they're fourth back in the NOJHL. So it's a franchise that is very established in the league and very established in the community. We've seen attendance that has grown over the years, and the Eagles have really built a solid fan base and a lot of respect around town when you see them going out and involving themselves in the community. So, in my opinion, you've entered a pretty good situation with a team that's very well established in the league.
Well, I mean, attendance-wise, I think, if not the top, we're one of the top teams attendance-wise, which is a awesome tribute to this town of ours. There's a lot of hockey in this town.
There is.
People don't realize that, obviously, not a lot of towns have Division I. There's only 60 Division I hockey teams in the entire country, and we're one of them. And then you have some Junior A product, you have some AAA, you have high school. And not only that, you have high school basketball, football, volleyball. There's so many things for people to do. So for people in our little town, I guess it's not little, but our smaller town to come out and support our team like they do it's amazing, and it's a tribute to our town and our people. It's a great league. They've always gotten involved in the community. When my wife taught school, that kids would come in and read, and I remember we had a storm 3 or 4 years ago. The kids were out shoveling roofs and shoveling driveways. I don't think they're shoveling roofs, but shoveling driveways, and those are things that make people want to go to the rink to support them. And in junior hockey, there's not a lot of local kids that are on that team and involved. So you have to do things to make sure that you get involved with the community to get people in the rink. So, Bruno's done a great job with that over the last years, and I'm looking forward to helping him continue that.
So, Doug, one of your first official duties was the tryout camp, which was May 11th and 13th at the Big Bear Arena. I believe 50 players participated. I had a chance to watch a little bit. As a brand new coach coming in, what are some of the things you're looking for that early as far as from a coaching perspective? Because, main camp's a couple months away, and you have the summer to look forward to. What are some of the things you're looking for as a coach at that point?
I think at that point you're just looking to see if kids can play. I mean, there are younger kids that were there that want to get their feet wet. They, a lot of kids want to see where they compete to a junior kid. So We've had younger kids that were local kids even that were there. That some kids as young as 14 years old that were at that game the weekend and did really well. I mean, I'll speak names. Robbie Landis did.
He did fantastic.
Really
the
well.
Game I saw him.
Didn't stand out in a bad way at all. And in that, when I say it that way, I mean you're 14. You're dealing with 20-year-old kids. So you want to. Those kids a lot of times are looking to gauge themselves on where junior players are, and then they need to know. Then they see that, and then they say, okay, well, I need to do this for the next 3 or 4 years so I can get ready for junior hockey. We ended up asking committing 4 kids out of that camp. Actually, we've got calls on from 2 of them already that say they want to come. So we're excited. I mean, we have 10 kids that could come back, but we don't know if they're coming back. So, you have to understand the dynamic of junior hockey. Everybody wants to go to the next level in their mind. And whether that is a next level or not, it doesn't matter. It's perception of the next level. So right now we're really just opened, I guess, if you will. To get 4 kids out of that last camp to commit to us, we're excited about that. If we can get the majority of the kids that are able to come back, now all of a sudden we're only looking for 5 or 6 kids. So you kind of want to, in those early camps, you want to see what's available, and not only for this year, but for coming years.
Doug Laprade joining us on the game here at the Wicked Sister, brand new head coach of the Soo Eagles. Doug, good transition there, talking about promoting to the next level. The Soo Eagles, one of their mottos is getting players to the next level, and one just announced today. Jake Palmario announced that he is going to Concordia University. That follows Gianni Vitale and Owen Kipke, who are going to Trine University. And Doug, you and I were talking off air about players that go to Division III college hockey, and these guys have the opportunity to do something good. You're a proponent of these kind of situations, aren't you?
Absolutely. I mean, hockey is something you do while you get your education, and a lot of people don't understand that. They always believe that, I'm going to go play hockey, whether it's Lake State or Northern or Michigan or whoever. They think they're going to go and they're going to run their way through all the way to the NHL. Realistically, I think it's statistically 99.9% of kids don't make it to those places, and it's a 10% or a 1% drop off every time. My numbers are either 10 or 1%. I think it's 1%. So what I mean by that is when you get to Bantams, only 10% go to midgets, and then when you get to midgets, only 10% go to juniors, and then so on, where juniors go to OHL or go to college and then go to pro and whatnot. So when you look at a kid, and when I recruited at Lake State, we had kids that could have been stars in D3, and they decided to come to D1 Lake State, and that's fine. Some of them could have gone to D3 and been absolute stars and big man on campus, if you will,
Sure.
Instead, they were in and out of the lineup here. There's nothing wrong with that either. You're a D1 athlete. You're a college athlete at a certain point, but what I try to profess is this: you're going to college to get your degree. You're just playing hockey while you're there. It's not the other way around. So, out of all the years I've played hockey, growing up in Thunder Bay, playing at Lake State, going to whatever different camps I went to, there are 2 guys in my entire life that don't have to work, and that's Doug Waite and Brian Rolfson.
Right.
They both work,
right,
but they don't have to.
Right.
And I've known Hobie Baker winners like Tony Herkus from Thunder Bay.
Right.
He works. I mean, you don't. He was the best player in hockey for a year. He scored 120 points in college
North
hockey.
Dakota, right?
North Dakota in 45 games. That's unheard of.
Yeah.
He still has to have a job. So when you go to these things and you make these decisions, you go and you say, well, I'm going to go junior hockey now. I'm going to play for the Soo Eagles. We have 20-year-olds that are deciding what they want to do right now. Well, if they come back here, they're going to play and they're going to be stars, right? They're going to play. They're going to get the opportunity to be stars. Let me rephrase that. With the commitment of Palmario today, we have every single 20-year-old on our team is committed to a D3 team.
Yeah.
So I think that's something to be proud of.
Absolutely.
You come to the Soo Eagles, you're going to get exposure, you're going to get better, and you're going to be able to go to college hockey, whether it's D1 or D3. So I'm excited for him. I don't know him. I'm looking forward to getting to know all of our alumni as many as I can. But that's fantastic. Every one of our kids are going to college hockey.
Yeah.
There's what else can you have? What else can you wish for?
Doug, between now and when the season begins, when you have your main camp in early August, what are some of the things, or what are, obviously the schedule will be coming out here in the next month or so. You're going to have different meetings with the league. I imagine Bruno's going to have some of those. What do you do between now and main camp?
Well, we're just kind of bird dogging right now. We're looking for kids. I've got tons of contacts up in Thunder Bay, down in Detroit, all over Canada and the U.S. from my college days, my coaching days in high school. There's a lot of kids that I've played high school that we would like to see at our camp. And really, right now we're going to fill up our camp, and from there we pick our team and we move on. So it's not a whole lot to do. I do some USA hockey engagements. I do some presentations and whatnot. I'll do a few of those this summer. I just did one last weekend, actually, in Marquette. And but for the most part, it's just kind of bird dogging kids and making sure that they know we're available and get that camp filled.
One of the things I always like to talk about when it comes to the Eagles is the fact that they play at the Puller. You don't see these rinks anymore. You certainly don't see it in this league. You don't really see it almost anywhere anymore. How big a selling point is Puller Stadium for people coming in? I mean, you talk to players, their first game in the Puller, they're almost in awe of just how that arena is with the renovations. It's a gem to have for the Eagles and for Sault Ste. Marie.
Well, for sure. You don't find those arenas that far. They're far and in between, if that's right. Where I'm from in Thunder Bay, there's a Fort William Gardens. It's a lot like the Puller, only it's bigger. There's more stands or more seats.
Is that where the Bombers played? Ratke, wasn't he on? Did they play up there?
Yeah, they said they were from Thunder Bay, but I think they
from Hollywood.
Yeah. The Puller is a great selling point. It's a great gem for our city. It's everything about hockey. It's you go there. It's a selling point for the kids too. You bring them in. It's a lot like the Norris Center. When I was coaching with Lake State, we always felt if we could get them to campus, we could win. Because our campus is phenomenal and the North Center is phenomenal. Same thing with the Puller. If we can get them to the Puller and have them watch what we have or see what we have, that's a selling point. So,
Doug Laprade joining us on the game. Doug, final question for you. I know it's probably early in your tenure as far as goals and what you look forward to during the upcoming season, but have you thought about that? What are some of the things that you want to do as head coach next year?
Well, I think coaching is about what you have coming in. So, we're gonna evaluate what we have coming back, what we have filling in the open spots, and we're gonna build around that. If we have a small, fast team, we're not going to play a physical game. If it's the opposite, we're not going to play a speed game. So, we have to see what we have coming back. And the Puller back to the Puller. The Puller is a great place to be able to. It's a home ice advantage.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a smaller ice surface than a regular junior ice surface. It's about 50. I think it's 15 feet shorter and it's 10 feet more narrow.
The old Boston Gardens.
Yeah. So it's how they made rinks way back in the day, and so you can kind of coach around that. There's nicks and nooks and valleys or whatever. Excuse me, on where you can dump the puck and what the puck does, and so we'll try to see what we have coming back first, and then we'll decide what we want to do. I know this. I'm a big puck possession guy. I'm really, really big on not turning the puck over. I'd rather play in the offensive zone than in my own zone. So we're going to work on things like that, and we'll see what we have.
Doug Laprade joining us on the game. Coach, good to have you on here. Thank you for coming in, and we'll get you on maybe after the main camp in August to preview the 2018-2019 season. Sound like a plan?
Sounds great.
Thanks, Doug, for coming in.
All right, thanks,
And
Scott.
we'll be back with Butch Davis from the Telegram News and Butch on Sports. We'll talk about what's going on in the Metro Detroit sports scene. That's coming up next on the game here on Eagle 95.1.
Get wicked at the Wicked Sister. You'll find the best tasting food for the whole family. Start off with some appetizers like the crab dip, served with warm non-bread strips and soft pretzel bites, or their antibiotic and hormone-free boneless chicken wings with 5 choices of sauces. Entrees include the barbecue pulled pork sandwich, the #1 selling drunken cow burger, or Philly cheesesteaks, and they're on special all day Thursdays. The Wicked Sister also offers a gluten-free menu and catering. Bring the whole family. The Wicked Sister, downtown Ashman Street, open 7 days a week.
The Game Sports Show would like to thank an additional home to the Game Sports Show, Canadian franchise Boston Pizza. Boston Pizza, Sault Ste. Marie, located on 601 Great Northern Road, Sault Ste. Marie. Come in and join Boston Pizza for its numerous specials that are offered. After 9 p.m. daily, come in to Boston Pizza for $9 schooners, $4 rail drinks, and delicious food. Boston Pizza, Sault Ste. Marie, you're among friends.
Welcome back to the game on Eagle 95.1. Scott Nason broadcasting from the Wicked Sister on Ashman Street on this absolutely gorgeous Tuesday evening in Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan. The Wicked Sister, always lots going on. They're continuing their Burger Month celebration throughout the month of May. So each day they will be serving a new and unique burger. They also have brand new beverages on tap. And don't forget that they do catering. So if you want to impress your coworkers, maybe some clients coming in, or just want to have a good lunch, let the Wicked Sister help you out. And I can attest to that, as I've been to several lunches and meetings that the Wicked Sister has catered, and they never disappoint. Stop on in, and you can set that up or call them at 906-259-1086. We'll be joined in the next segment on the roundtable by E.J. Russell, and we'll also be joined in our final segment by Dave McCaig from Soo, Ontario. But we're joined right now by one of our co-hosts, regular contributor. His name is Butch Davis. He is host of the radio show Butch on Sports, which you can find on our podcast page, thegamesportshow.podbean.com. Butch also writes for the Telegram News in the Metro Detroit area and joins us each and every week to let us know what's going on, a first-hand account of what's going on in the Detroit sports scene. Butch, how you doing on this Tuesday night, my friend?
Well, we're doing. How yourself there?
I'm doing wonderful, Butch. Glad to have a night off. Done a lot of umping over the past couple weeks due to the season kind of slow to get started, so I'm ready to talk some sports with you. And, Butch, let's talk, before we get to the professional Detroit scene, about high school sports and kind of some of the things going on in your neck of the woods. We talked earlier about, we had track and field regionals last week. We have districts coming up in softball and baseball next week. We're getting down to the end of the season here. Busy couple weeks in high school sports.
Yeah, Scott, you're no good. That's what I wrote about last night for the Telegram News here. You're just no good.
Oh, come on.
Well, yes, the finals will be on June 2nd there, per se, there. And also, I do believe the district finals for baseball and softball will be also on those particular days, June 1st and 2nd. It'll start on the 29th, of course, there to kind of like thin out the crowd and whatever it may be until we get into regional action. But again, a lot of good stuff there. I'm looking at a couple of schools in our neck of the woods here, Romulus, River Rouge, and Divine Charles. Dearborn Divine Charles there are doing a tremendous job in their track fields or events and whatnot there, and their regionals there. They'll move on to the states there. That's going to be in 4 locations down here in the Lower Peninsula. Of course, up in the Upper Peninsula, it'll be is a particular location that there'll be 3 locations. I was
Kingsford.
Told. Yes. And woohoo! That'll be strong there. So again, your directions and whatnot, you can go to the page MHSAA and get all your directions and all your bears, and also the rulings. No smoking, and where to sit and where to stand and where not to be and where to be. Okay, so got it all laid out pretty nice there. I looked at it in demand last night here, and it was pretty doggone neat itself there.
You can find more of Butch at the Telegram News, where he talked about all that stuff that we just talked about. Butch, let's move on to the Detroit Tigers. The good news, they're still only 3 games back in the AL Central. However, the road has not been kind to them over the past few days as they lost a game in Minnesota yesterday by the score of 4-2. They lost 3 of 4 in Seattle, and it's been the bullpen that's really been the problem. Really no surprise to those that have followed the Tigers. So the Tigers right now, Butch, 20-27. Again, the good news, they're only 3 games back of Cleveland for first place in the AL Central. They're going to be coming home here over the weekend and have a slew of games at home. I believe 16 of 19 will be played at Comerica Park. Butch, give us a status of the Detroit Tigers.
Status. Yeah, right. The Tigers are in a train wreck here. I say it with pitching here, starting as well as relieving pitching there. That has to get straightened out quick, fast, in a hurry. I don't know what you do and what the manager do or Ron Gardenheimer will do here in this particular area. You know, they haven't been playing too many doubleheaders, but they've been not getting any days off as well. And that could have a small effect. I couldn't say a big effect on young kids there who are trying to showboat or make a way to stay up here in the Major League Baseball here. It's just, you know, it's painful to watch because, again, in many of these games they're taking leads or they're getting leads back. It's painful to watch sometimes when you're in the lead in the 7th inning and you expect your bullpen to just go lickety split through the 7th, and 8th, and 9th inning, and they're not getting it done. Even down to Shane Green here lately has not been getting the job done. And again, that's a touchy situation, I guess, with the Tigers per se, as far as their relief pitching, what they can do and what they can't do, because they are somewhat limited on how many times you can bring a person up, versus, again, what do you do about the pitchers being honest with them? And I see that more and more these days in the Major League Baseball, where pitchers and players are not being honest. Of course, when you are honest, you get a lot of complaints like Miguel Cabrera had done. And when he said he's not going to play anymore unless he is 100%, and I hip hooray for him here, because on many occasions here, this guy has went out there hurting, whatever it may be, and went out there and tried to do a yeoman's job when others were not doing their job at all. So hopefully it gets all straightened out. This is an excellent time for young kids to show their oats there. Hicks has showed their oats, and Manny Goodrum has showed his oats there. Others got to step up. Mantus came back from Toledo here to show his oats, and now he's back to the same old song and dance again here. So don't know what to say here, but again, the Tigers are a team to, I guess, to monitor. That's the word I'll use there. Castellanos, let's give him some credit here. 2 games in a row, he's shown that long as he's able to get 50 days off or something there, he can perform.
Moving on, Butch, to the NBA. We'll talk more about the NBA playoffs when we get E.J. Russell on. I always got a lot to say about the Cleveland Cavs, but the Pistons still have some positions to fill in the front office and head coach. Butch, I haven't seen too much come across the newswire as far as potential candidates, as far as head coaches. Anything you can update with the Detroit Pistons?
I don't, and you won't either here right now. I think what's happening is number one, I think they want to do things in entire secrecy, which is not bad at all, because it gives you an opportunity and a chance, not so much of trying to satisfy some of the at-large media who really, some of them don't know a tooth from a foot, okay? And,
I love it.
And some of the news that they shake up and bring to the general public, they ought to be ashamed of themselves here, because, again, the sensationalism of doing something, you'd think they were playing the game, okay, of basketball, right, and they were running the team and what they would do and whatever it may be, not letting the process take effect. And then when they have an opportunity to plug something that really needs to be plugged, and again, I'm plugging that, you got to go after some homegrown people here. And I'm not saying so much in Detroit, but again, Detroit Pistons who's been here, who has won, who have had some experience in management or coaching, and give that a doggone lick here. You know, again, I think the general public deserves that opportunity to be given to the particular team that they root for and expect to be doing great things here. Not too many patient people around when you see some teams like, and again, I'm going to mention them probably several times during the show, the Las Vegas Knights, getting an expansion team here, okay, and doing as well as they're doing there. Again, that proves the point that if you got a great coach, a good coach who can reach their players and get them to come to work every single day, give them 120%, you can have some marvelous things happening here. And so I think the Pistons are doing the right thing by just being silent. If they are interviewing people, so be it there. But hopefully they will come out with a bang and say, hey, look, we're going to get some homegrown people involved with our team here. We need that very bad.
Nice segue to hockey there, Butch. Of course, the coach, Gerard Gallant, former Detroit Red Wing, and getting the Vegas Knights to the Golden Knights, to the Stanley Cup. We'll talk more about that later on. And, well, the Red Wings' current coach, Jeff Blashill, coached Team USA in the World Hockey Championships to a bronze medal. They did knock off Canada, keeping them off the podium. Sweden beat Switzerland. Kind of a surprise there. Switzerland making the final. That was what was going on in the world of hockey with the Red Wings. Butch, kind of waiting for the NHL draft right now. Anything to report on either one of those ends?
Well, we'll give them a thumbs up here for today. They were out at the Little Caesars Arena and gave away 500 bicycles to elementary school kids in the Detroit metropolitan area here.
Great.
It was doing today. Our applicator was there with the kids and with his helmet on here, I guess pretending that he's riding a bike or giving his stories on when he was a kid and when he got his first bike here. But again, that's what was happening. No real big news with the Red Wings right now. I do believe within a week when coaching staffs are coming back into Detroit after the World Hockey tournament there, which again they had a bronze medal in. Congratulations to them beating Canada. So that should not be fitting very well in Dave's pocketbook here.
Dave's had a rough couple months, Butch.
Yeah, he's going to have some rougher months here, I do believe. You know, I tell you right now. But again, you're not going to hit too much with the Red Wings right now. I say give it a week to 10 days when they start assembling together the management staffs and all.
The Wicked Sister, Soo, Michigan. Check TripAdvisor, ranked right towards the top. Awarded the Certificate of Excellence, as well as voted #1 pub in the UP. The Wicked Sister has managed to create a casual menu that offers unique, creative, and sometimes healthy offerings that rivals menu selections of any big city. Burgers and starters, snacks and shareables, soups and salads, sandwiches and tapas. On Ashman Street, Soo, Michigan. Welcome to the Wicked Sister, where you'll be treated like family, whether you like it or not.
The Game Sports Show would like to thank a list of additional sponsors. North Shore Sports and Auto, new location located on 647 McDonald Avenue, Sault Ste. Marie. A family-owned and operated business with doing business in Sault Ste. Marie for over 10 years. Loads of products available for your enjoyment for all seasons. North Shore Sports and Auto, we understand the importance of quality service and products, and we work hard to ensure that all customers have a positive experience before and after each and every sale. North Shore Sports and Auto, meeting all of your new and pre-owned equipment needs. Special thanks to Salon. The Salon, located on 589 2nd Line East, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Owned and operated by Mike Cuglietta. Book your appointment today at 705-941-9191 or via online at https://thesalonsoo.as.me-. The Salon, making the Soo beautiful, one haircut at a time. As well as a shout out to the Superior Pro Shop. The Superior Pro Shop, located inside the Community First Credit Union Superior Arena on 285 Northern Avenue East, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Owned and operated by Jeremy Paquin and ran by Larry Monroe. Superior Pro Shop, for over 40 years, meet all of your skate sharpening, skate repair, and hockey needs. Also to Discover the Canvas. Discover the Canvas, located on 317 Wellington Street West, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. A beautiful, new renovated building owned and operated by expert artist and Sioux native Katrina Thibodeau. Katrina taking her talents of the ink in Sault Ste. Marie and truly creating the best and most realistic art locally. Call Katrina today at 705-450-8800 888-286-8099 or email her at discoverthecanvas@gmail.com to book your tattoo or consultation today.
Welcome back to the game on Eagle 95.1. Scott Nason broadcasting from the Wicked Sister on Ashman Street on this Tuesday night in Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan. Come on down, join us at the Wicked Sister. Now, next week we will be off due to Memorial Day and some officiating commitments that I have. And starting in June, we'll be here on Monday nights. Back to our normal scheduled time, Mondays from 6 to 8. Throughout summer, we'll have to take a couple weeks off due to vacations and some other things. Butch Davis joining us once again from the Metro Detroit area, and we're joined now live from the softball fields by E.J. Russell joining us tonight for the roundtable. E.J., how you doing, sir?
I'm good. Coming to you live from the ball fields in Gladstone here, just watching some friends play, having a few soda pops, and just enjoying the nice weather.
Absolutely, and Butch, it's been a while since we've had E.J. on. I got to ask you, have you missed him?
Yeah.
Don't you lie to me, Butch. We all know the truth here. We got to argue about something today.
Oh, no, come on. We're all getting along here. Gentlemen, it's the roundtable portion of the schedule. EJ, since we haven't had you on for a while, I know there's a lot you want to talk about. We have about 25 minutes to do so. So I'm going to give you first topic on tonight's roundtable. What do you want to talk about, sir? Butch, you get first crack at EJ's topic.
Oh, boy.
Well, let's talk about what I think is one of the coolest stories in sports right now. Las Vegas Golden Knights making the Stanley Cup final. First team to do it in an expansion year since I believe it was the 67 Blues. In that year, though, an expansion team was guaranteed to make the Stanley Cup final. But my question is, depending on who wins the Tampa Bay Washington series, who's this bigger for? Is it bigger for Vegas or is it bigger for the East?
Butch, we were talking about it during our segment. Continue and address EJ's topic.
Well, that's an easy one here. Boy, that's the biggest thing since Ronnie Shock here. And if you don't know who he is here, hey, it's I guess gotta give you a T-shirt after the game, man. You know,
love it.
Here we go. Yes, it's a very much so important there. The people who are at the stands there, the gambling, and the enthusiastic umpire, you can hear him in the background here.
He's got a great strike call.
Yeah, buddy. We got sound effects. But, yes, tonight it is important to them here. For them to establish attendance records there, establishing people who are not abreast of the game to get into the game. Just for the community conversations, again, I speak that I have relatives down there in Las Vegas, and they all speak highly of the Golden Knights. Maybe 2 or 3 of them don't know a bit about hockey, but again, they know about the Golden Knights and the accomplishments they have made. It is, yes, a very important thing for them. On the other hand, the Eastern teams that are participating still, the Capitals and also the Lightning, will it be very important for them? I think the NHL is right now is scratching their head because a New York team or a Los Angeles team is not in the mix, and that's just too bad. But they do have Las Vegas, and they may have a warm state like Tampa Bay or a coastal team such as Washington in there, and both of those teams are hungry to get into the Stanley Cup. I think there'll be a doggone good series, either or teams come into play and play the Golden Knights, which, again, has a pretty good record. We'll get and see who leads the dance in order to get that cup that I have drunk out of a couple of times, and it's nothing like it.
You got some people drinking out of some cups in that baseball game there, Butch.
Mm-hmm. Some big ones, too.
I got my cup here. We're all good.
All right, I will continue. EJ, it might be easier if you can mute maybe while Butch and I are talking, because there's a lot of background noise. We do enjoy it, but if you can maybe mute the outside sound until we get to you talking, might help from a listener perspective.
You got it.
All right, thank you, sir. I'm going to continue with what Butch said there as far as Vegas and who this is more important to. I mean, obviously, any franchise is very important to get to the Stanley Cup, and not only to get to it, but to win it. And nobody, and I mean nobody, at the beginning of the season had Vegas getting to the Stanley Cup. I thought they might contend for a playoff position due to how the expansion draft set up. Obviously, when you have a good goalie like Marc-Andre Fleury, who is playing absolutely out of his mind right now, he's going to win the Conn Smythe even if he falters in the Stanley Cup, it appears. He just has some fantastic numbers, save percentage .947, I believe. And you have a lot of guys with chips on their shoulders. I mean, these guys weren't wanted by their teams, and the Vegas Golden Knights have done a great job just to put the right pieces in place, and they've done a great job as far as their coach, Gerard Gallant, who was unceremoniously bounced from the Florida Panthers a couple years ago, and he has really come back strong with this team. As far as, the East, and who knows what's going to happen in Game 7 between Tampa and Washington. That's been a really tough series to figure out. I mean, you thought Washington maybe was going to easily win the series after winning those first two games at Tampa, and then all of a sudden the Capitals remembered that they were in fact the Washington Capitals. They don't win series like that. They lose 2 at home, they lose Game 5 at Tampa, and they come out last night and played as good a game as I've seen them play, winning by the score of 3-0. Holtby had a great game in net, and they got production from players other than Ovechkin. And so you look at that, I think it's very important. I wouldn't say more important for Washington, but they're a team that's been expected to be there for all these years. They haven't been in the Stanley Cup Finals since 1998 when they lost to the Detroit Red Wings. And, it's important for everybody. Obviously, Vegas right now is on a roll. You look at that Winnipeg series, guys. They lose Game 1, and then they win 4 in a row, and they didn't trail in any of those games. And they beat a very good Winnipeg team, a team I thought was going to win the Stanley Cup. So I'm all aboard the Vegas Golden Knights bandwagon, baby. Go Knights. EJ, your thoughts?
So I think whoever comes out of the East, obviously you got to be the favorite on the books here. But Vegas is playing great team hockey. And what they're doing, I think, better than anybody in the playoffs, besides the play from Marc-Andre Fleury. Like you said, Scott, he's a shoo-in for the Conn Smythe this year. But Vegas is playing great on both sides of the puck. Forwards are back checking, getting back on the defensive side of the puck, and really playing well there and hustling and playing with a lot of heart. Like you said, these are guys that their teams didn't want to hold on to. I don't know if it's fair to say that they're not guys that they wanted to keep. I think, Nashville would have loved to keep a guy like James Neal, who's a great player. But they're playing great on both sides of the puck. But as far as the East is concerned, I think that this is a huge series for the Washington Capitals. Like you said, have struggled to win series throughout their entire tenure with Alexander Ovechkin, who's I believe is already tied a franchise record with 11 goals in this postseason. But he needs to have a big game, and he needs to show up and be the superstar that he is in order for them to win. I think that the Lightning has a lot of firepower, just like the Washington Capitals do. But I think that Washington's game needs to be centered around the grade 8.
Butch, I'll go with my topic. I'll give you first crack at it. And I wanted to talk about a decision that was made last week. We didn't have a chance to talk about it due to some technical issues, but last Monday, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled in their Murphy versus National Collegiate Athletic Association that the Professional and Amateur Sports Protection Act violated the 10th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. Now, this ruling has led sports fans and entrepreneurs to wonder, what about the future of sports betting? Well, in a nutshell, the Supreme Court ruled that this specific act violated the 10th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, otherwise known as the Commandeering Clause, because it illegally empowered the federal government to order certain states to take specific actions to disallow sports gambling. As you know, in this country right now, Nevada, Las Vegas is one of the only places that you can legally bet on sports. And there was a lot of controversy as far as the Vegas Golden Knights coming into town and how that would be affected by sports betting. And so this ruling doesn't necessarily legalize, well, doesn't legalize sports betting anywhere. However, individual states are now free to pass statutes that would legalize sports betting within their borders. Now, some states like New Jersey, West Virginia, and Pennsylvania have already taken steps to legalize and regulate sports gambling. Other states may soon follow, including the state of Michigan. This is something that isn't unprecedented. I mean, you look at the government of Ontario has the Pro Line, which is run where you can bet on basically anything. Just cross the border, you can do that. Over in England, betting is on everything. You see in the Premier League, many of the sponsors are for betting purposes. So my question to you, gentlemen, Butch, I'll give you first crack at the topic, is this decision as far as potentially many states, if not every state, will now have the opportunity to have their people that live in the state or people that are visiting bet on sports. What are your thoughts on this topic? Are you pro? Are you anti? Or what's your thoughts? Butch, I'll go to you first.
I really don't have any thoughts on it at all. Me personally there, because I'm not what you call, yes, you played a lottery or something like that there when a big hoopla of money is around there. You know, you spend that maybe a couple of dollars here just to see if the fortunes come your way here. But again, a lot of states are really, and Michigan, and that's right now that we can talk about is Michigan there and what they're doing. And I think Michigan's in limbo right now about the sports betting as far as concerned. I know the leagues, the NHL, the Major League Baseball, NBA, and of course the other leagues there are pretty much so on board as far as if there's regulations to be followed to deal with the integrity of the game. When I say the integrity of the game, no one's blind to know that there have been players in the past who have set up games or have gotten to get a slew full of money in their pocketbook, only to maybe 1 or 2 or 3 years later be caught up with, sometimes maybe a little bit longer to be caught up with on setting or betting a game or being able to be a poster child on a point spread or whatever it may be. And I think that's what the certain leagues are looking at very well. We have Pete Rose who betted on baseball. That's another thing that people are looking at very, very closely, and also the league is looking at very closely. They don't want their players. It's against the regulation for them to gamble in the first place. But again, when a certain amount of money is put up in your face there to do this or that and the other, or you just go ahead on and go to one of the places or send a relative out there to the book a certain game or whatever it may be to make 2 or 3 nickels here, that's going to be pretty doggone rough and tough for everybody to stand by there. I know today the commissioner of the NFL came out with some 4 standard rules that he came on up with them. Mainly, they want transparency to be across the board with referees, officials, also some of the players, as well as the coaches. That was an important point of the 4 points they gave in dealing with sports betting and gambling there. They need also the legislatures to also be somewhat on point of exchanging information a whole heck of a lot of times on what they do with the particular leagues in general there to kind of blend some of the information going forward. As you know, sometimes it's very hard for maybe the NFL or one of the leagues when they have an investigation on a player or coach or a team to get information from the legislature who've been looking at the particular situation and investigating in the first place there. But again, it's a wait and see. Where I sit right now here, it's a wait and see.
E.J. Russell, will go to you. Your thoughts on my topic, sir?
I think my concerns are right on board with Butch's. As long as it doesn't mess with the integrity of the game, I really don't see a problem with it. There have been issues in sports in the past where, Congress has gotten involved and things like that. I'd be curious to see if there's any kind of push for players to not be allowed to continue to gamble or not be allowed to gamble, at least on their own sport. Like Butch said, Pete Rose is probably the most famous name when it comes to sports gambling. and he's banned from the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame. So this change in the ruling here, that can definitely affect Pete Rose's status. I'm sure he has something to say regarding the issue. But I don't have too much of an issue with it just because I don't think there's the kind of outside pressures that there may have been in the past. Look back to incidents in sports where players have shaved points and things like that. Organized crime was a lot more prevalent back then, and it wasn't as big of an issue. So when you look at it now, obviously there are still going to be things where people can pressure on the outside and try to force players to do things. But I think the players are going to show a lot of maturity here, or they have the opportunity to show a lot of maturity and a lot of respect for their game by not allowing those pressures to affect the way that they play. And as long as they surround themselves with the right people, I don't see this affecting sports in any major way. But let's be honest here, people have been betting on sports for quite some time. Now it's just legal, and everybody does an NCAA pool, and technically those were illegal, but everyone always did it. It's something that we've decided is okay now. As a culture, it's fine to gamble on sports. I have no issue with it. Just let's find the best way possible to remove those outside pressures from getting involved into the game.
Yeah, I'll comment here, gentlemen. I'm a big states' rights guy first and foremost, and I think that individual states, when they have more opportunities to control their own destiny as a political view, I support that. Having lived in England for a few years, the betting culture in Europe, and I'm specifically in England, is very, very prevalent. I mean, you look at what's going on in England, for example, as far as the Premier League. You have, I believe, 9 of the 20 major sponsors of the Premier League teams were all betting companies. And I tell you what, you can bet on basically anything. As look back in 2017, $20 billion were wagered on different sort of sporting events. And, I mean, you can bet on anything from what is the name of Prince George or whatever, the royal wedding, what color the dress. Well, I figure the dress is going to be white, but you know what I'm saying. You can bet on basically anything in England. It's part of the culture, and it really hasn't affected, at least for the most part, the Premier League and soccer. Where it gets a little dicey as far as sports betting is in professional tennis, and there have been examples, especially at some of the lower levels of tournaments, not Wimbledon or the French Open or any of those, but there have been examples of players accused, and rightly so, of tanking matches because of betting and how people can bet on basically anything. So I don't think this is a big deal as far as changing the integrity of the game. Gambling and betting on sports is something that's happened throughout sports. I mean, just look at the Black Sox in 1918, 1919, and some of the things that happened there. Watch the movie 8 Men Out, one of the best baseball movies of all time, in my opinion, and you can see that this is an issue that's always been in sports, but I just don't think this is a big deal as far as changing the integrity of the game. You're always going to have those bad apples that maybe, take a fall or maybe don't put their best effort as far as a game, and if there's gambling involved. But you know what? It's gone on, it goes on, and I don't think it's that big of a deal.
Get Wicked Catering from the crew at the Wicked Sister.
We like to think of ourselves as foodies. While our favorite foods are paired with a beer tasting at the Wicked Sister, you can now have the same creative menu for your next catered business luncheon, family get-together, wedding, or holiday party. Our white truffle risotto appeals to your gluten-free and vegetarian guests. Add sautéed shrimp or freshly grilled chicken for a pop of protein. Or let us build you a custom menu to suit your needs. From plated events of 15 to buffets for 200, the Wicked Sister will cater your event with tapas, snacks, cravables, or a full sit-down dinner.
The Wicked Sister, where you'll be treated like family, whether you like it or not.
Thank you for tuning in to The Game, heard Monday nights from the Wicked Sister on Ashman Street on Eagle 95.1, also online at radioeaglesoo.com and the podcast page, thegamesportshow.com. sportscenter.podbean.com. I hope you're enjoying the broadcast. Now, if you want to hear more of the Twin Sault's only local, regional, and national talk show, I encourage you to visit our website at thegamesportshow.com, and you can tune into a pair of broadcasts of the Game Sports Show from Soo, Ontario. Our co-host here on the game, Mr. Electric Avenue Dave McCaig, broadcasts the show on Wednesday night from Sports Center Bar and Grill in Soo, Ontario, along with his regular contributors, Jamie Antonello, Justin Heichel, and Dane Hantro. They focus on football with their In the Pocket segment, talking about the NFL, along with basketball and the NBA, and other sports, including tennis, golf, soccer, and the WWE. If you like hockey, Thursday nights are for you, as the Game Sports Show is broadcasting from Boston Pizza in Soo, Ontario, with Dave McCaig, along with his regular contributors, Justin Heichel and Dane Hantro. Now, this show focuses on hockey in the wintertime and baseball in the summer, and will include guests and interviews from local and national figures. Once again, you can hear 3 versions of the game at our website, thegamesportshow.com, or at the podcast page, thegamesportshow.podbean.com. Also on the podcast page, you will find selected audio broadcasts of Soo Eagles home games, Brimley Bay's basketball, and Soo High Blue Devil hockey, along with game contributor Butch Davis and his broadcasts of Butch on Sports. You can also find us on YouTube. Look for the Scott Nason channel. Thank you for listening, and keep it locked here to the game for all your local, regional, and national sports talk that you just can't get enough of. Welcome back to the game on Eagle 95.1. Scott Nason broadcasting from the Wicked Sister on Ashman Street on this beautiful Tuesday night in the Twin Saults. I want to thank E.J. Russell and Butch Davis for joining us in the last segment. Unfortunately, a little bit of the segment cut out of the recording process. We're working out these technical bugs as we speak, but we're joined right now by our good friend Dave McCaig, who normally joins us here at the Wicked Sister. Dave had to work late, but he's joining us on Skype, host of the Game Sports Show from Boston Pizza and Sports Center Bar and Grill. All around good guy, and I got to add, very good looking as well. Dave, how you doing tonight, sir?
Ooh. Dang, booyah. I love those that introduction. Every week I get a great intro. You know what? No one's as good looking as you, though, sir. Okay? I got to give you the credit for that.
Lottery gets you everywhere on this show, Dave. That's why you're co-host.
Awesome. That's good. You know what I gotta say? This weather though too. I get so excited for the heat to be here finally, and I think it's safe to say that summer might be showing up a little bit earlier the way this weather's been going.
Absolutely. It's a wild atmosphere here at the Wicked Sister. Dave, let's talk a little bit about the Memorial Cup. Hamilton, of course, the representative from the Ontario Hockey League. And I wanted to mention one thing there. I talked earlier about the Memorial Cup and what was going on. Hamilton winning last night over the Swift Current. They have a good chance to make it to the semifinals. But Don Cherry, Hockey Night in Canada, kind of doubled down on his hot dog comment with the Soo Greyhounds, going as far as to say maybe that was one of the reasons that they lost against Hamilton. I know you talked about it on your show at Boston Pizza on Thursday night. I don't think that was the reason, but do you have anything to add to Mr. Cherry, who kind of doubled down on his hot dog comments?
Yeah, I got to kind of be as careful as I can in terms of my comments here in regards of that I am a Don Cherry fan. I too. I truly am. I have all of his videos from the Rock'em Sock'em days, and watching Hockey Night Canada since I was a child. I met Don Cherry a couple times, and after I met him the first time, the second time I met him, he remembered me by name, and I've been trying to actually get him on the show here in Soo Canada to get some comments, and I'm not sure if I'd be able to get much comment in regards to the Sault Ste. Marie stuff. I'm sure he just keeps that for Hockey Night in Canada, but I want to say that I know what he said about the Soo before was very hurtful in terms of the Sioux people took it the wrong way. But you got to think as a hockey individual that, you know what, he does have a little bit of a point from the terms of celebrating on goals. I don't mind the goal that was scored in particular with, I believe it was Barrett Hayton, if I remember correctly, through the legs. I believe that was him through the legs. Just remember the top of my head. But the type of goals that they scored, that's happening a lot now. He didn't say that about William Karlsson when he scored that on Martin Jones earlier a couple weeks ago. So, you know, I don't think it was the goals, it was the showboating after the celebration. Look at Kapaka when he was chirping the guy. Like, I get Don Cherry's perspective from being just a general hockey fan and old school. When you're old school like that, they don't like the celebration. They want you to celebrate goals like you've been there before. And I get Don Cherry's remarks, but I want to say this very carefully, that I'm not taking Don Cherry's side, nor am I taking the Siouxite side. You know, I'm in the middle of it because I get it. If I'm on the other end of receiving and getting chirped like that, I'm going ballistic. You know, I wasn't known really to fight unless I had to, and you know, I'd be very upset, you know, if I was the other team. Now, if I was on the other side of the coin where I was scoring those type of goals, I like to celebrate goals, and I was pretty emotional. So I get the sides, but Don Cherry has a point where, you know what, he doubled down for sure, quoting, but he brought out a lot of good points of how the Greyhounds were very conceited when they score goals. And I've said that about Boris Kachuk before, in terms of him not being able to perform well in the finals, how he does his celebrations, Kabaka, and all those guys. You know, the Hounds were tired. They were beaten by a team that was more well-rested, and it's not an excuse. It's just truth talking there. Hamilton is also they're a better all-around team. They're not more talented, as we discussed, but they're definitely better all-around, and they're better built for the playoffs. And you know what? They took the Hounds. They took advantage of being able to take on a Hound team that was defeated, that had a long playoff run, that played over 5+ games more than them. And rightfully so, I think the Hounds should be in the Memorial Cup. They had the team to do it. But Don Cherry's saying what he had to say. He's proven his point. You know, and you know what? He's not wrong, nor is he right on some things. But I honestly think that what he said, I have nothing negative to say about it, because he had his points, and that's to say that they were very fair points. I think you can agree, Scotty.
Yeah, and the one he was referring to, Dave, was Boris Kachuk. And, you know, Don Cherry's never been a fan of the foreign players. He has tempered a bit over the years as far as his what some have called xenophobia. I'm not saying that, but he has been extra critical of the European players, and so that might have had something to do with it. But I kind of agree with you, Dave. That's not what cost the Sioux Greyhounds the OHL championship. They were beat by a better team at the time. Were the Greyhounds a better team in the regular season? Absolutely. But those 2 poundings they took in the playoffs, winning the series, I might add, against Kitchener and Owen Sound. I thought Jamie Henderson, was very succinct on your show Thursday at Boston Pizza, talking about, you know, these long trips, and you don't realize that's a long slug. On the bus, taking on those physical teams like Owen Sound and then Kitchener, and you know, watching the Memorial Cup, boy, would I love to see the Greyhounds, because I think they do very well in it. I think they might win the Memorial Cup right now, but it's not right now. It's the playoffs and what happened, and well, we saw what happened. Hamilton is in, and we'll talk here next time on the game as far as what happens in the Memorial Cup. Dave, let's keep it with the hockey theme. We had lots of discussion earlier with Butch and EJ about the Vegas Golden Knights, a team that lost Game 1 against Winnipeg. You and I both thought Winnipeg were going to win that series. I had Winnipeg picked for the Stanley Cup. And then Vegas rolls off 4 straight games without trailing in any of those games. They're in the Stanley Cup. They'll take on either Tampa or Washington. Washington with a 3-0 win last night. Game 7 will be in Tampa on Wednesday. Your thoughts on the NHL? Vegas, baby. Vegas.
Oh, Vegas fever is in full effect, and it's been in effect since the 3rd week of the season, it seems like. And I can say right now with Vegas, I'm shocked, and no one would have predicted this. I know there's one person, I believe, in the world that put $1,000 down on Vegas winning the Cup, and this guy might be a millionaire by the end of the next couple weeks here. So I really think that the Vegas, it's amazing what a bunch of guys that deserve a second chance can get, and when you put a lot of doubt, when you put a seed of doubt into players. You know, Vegas, I feel, had a great expansion draft in terms of being able to take first-round picks from teams that eat up contracts. Look at an example, William Karlsson. They got William Karlsson. They got Alex Tuck. You know, they take those guys, and they get first-round picks for taking those guys so they don't take other players. You know, so Vegas, this team the chemistry is amazing. They have a bunch of players that are third, second liners. James Neal's their big name forward if you want to go that route. Now you got Arceso, you got Tuck, you got guys that are making names for themselves. They got an all-around team. Defensively, they're wild, but we can't forget the big factor right now, who I feel is a Conn Smythe winner, win or lose in the Cup Finals, is Marc-Andre Fleury. So, you have to give credit where it's due, and this team is absolutely amazing. If they win the Stanley Cup in their first year, I can't believe it, especially being a Leaf fan. I've been waiting 50 years. Well, not me 50 years, but there's been fans waiting for 50 years for them to win a cup, and Vegas comes in their first year, and they're most likely, in my opinion, going to be the victors of the Stanley Cup. And, I texted Colin Miller. I've been texting him throughout the whole playoffs, obviously, friend of mine, listener of the show, and someone who's been on the show numerous times. And if he can bring the cup home, I'd be very excited we can do with the show, with getting him on with that beside us maybe while we're talking to him. But the thing is, when I was texting him, I was saying, Millsy, man, each round he's like, man, he couldn't explain how great everything's going. Everyone's just clicking. And I had to ask him about Derek England, and Marc-Andre Fleury's conversation about England touching the Clarence Trophy there. And I feel it was a plain decision that superstition's not a thing. Vegas has been against all odds all year and all superstition all year, and Pittsburgh's touched that cup the last couple of times, and they've won the Stanley Cup. So, I'm a firm believer that I've said this before, I would touch that cup. And I win any trophy, I'm touching it. I earned that trophy, or whatever the circumstance is, you touch that trophy. And that was a big conversation starter if they're going to touch it. And I said, they're absolutely touching it. When England went to touch it, that was pretty awesome. And, the Flower's the undisputed captain of that hockey team. And, I got to say right now, Vegas is just on a high right now. They're fantastic. They're so exciting to watch. It's very disappointing to see a friend of the show and listener and, like I said, friend of mine, Paul Maurice, get eliminated in a fashion that he did. I just feel that Vegas came out and they were able to rebound after being down 1-0. They didn't trail. Flower played absolutely amazing. They kept their discipline pretty good, Vegas. They were able to shut down the Lion A, and they're able to keep Scheifele contained. They kept Bufflin contained after the first game. It was just amazing performance by Vegas. And you know what? They're the real deal. Anyone had doubts about this team, if you still have doubts about this team, you're absolutely silly, because this team, I feel, is going to be winning the Stanley Cup in less than 2 weeks.
I agree, Dave. I mean, they're just a team. They get ahead, and they don't give up the lead. I mean, 4 straight games against a really good Winnipeg team, they don't do that. I have more to say about that series, and it's particularly one player in our thumbs up and thumbs down. Dave, real quick, before we get to our thumbs up and thumbs down, NBA playoffs, we talked a little bit about that with Butch and EJ. With the hockey, it's really kind of gotten my attention. Not kind of, it really has gotten my attention. I've watched bits and pieces of the 2 series. Boston and Cleveland tied at 2 with Cleveland with another win at home. You have Golden State up 2-1 on Houston, Game 4 tonight. Any thoughts on the NBA playoffs? I mean, to me, it's still going to be Cleveland, Golden State. What say you?
I thought the Boston was going to maybe make a run for this, but then I realized LeBron James still plays basketball and he's still on the team. I must have forgotten after he absolutely humiliated the Raptors. I'm still fresh and sore and sour, whatever the right term would be, about the Toronto Raptors. So I've been following the NBA playoffs as a sports host and an individual like yourself, but not with severe interest in terms of that it is going to be Golden State and Cleveland again. It makes me not want to watch basketball ever again, to be honest, because I want to see some new teams in there. I'd love to see Houston beat Golden State, but I just can't see that happening now. I predicted Rockets and Raptors, and obviously I only have one team that potentially has a chance to make out of those 2 teams, and then I forgot they're playing the Warriors again. So these teams are built to win championships, like Cleveland and Golden State. It's going to be those 2 in the finals, Scott. I couldn't agree more. Unfortunately, I'd like to see it be the Celtics and Rockets, but seeing LeBron score 44 and I don't understand this human. Like, the guy's a robot, and he traded guys away this year, and I think I know why they did it now, because LeBron's better by himself. And I don't mean that he is alone, because he does have some talent on that team with him, like Kevin Love and that, but Love hasn't been the same since he left Minnesota. Korver is not no Kyrie Irving, okay? So I feel that LeBron James is being able to let him be himself and let him just run the show, because I basically think he's the general manager of the basketball team too. So Cleveland, GM and coach and ambassador like Drake is with the Raptors. So I feel Cleveland is going to come out on top of this series. They battled back, and it's going to be another Golden State Cleveland. The playoffs I'm not as interested in anymore because the Raptors being out of it. But you know what? Seeing LeBron do what he does, I can't sit here and say, I'd be lying to you if I didn't say that I was in awe of LeBron James's talent.
Dave, let's get to our thumbs up and thumbs down for the week. I will start. I have 2 thumbs up. Thumbs up to Rudyard Bulldogs softball pitcher Emily Curtis. I had the chance to be at Rudyard yesterday to watch her perform. She had 8 wins in this past week, including 2 no-hitters. In the games yesterday, she did not allow a walk, and she's an umpire's dream. She throws 1 warm-up pitch, and she doesn't waste any time. She just goes there, she throws strikes, and so I got to give her a big thumbs up, and she does it at the plate as well. Thumbs up to Marc-Andre Fleury. Not as much for his on-the-ice performance, which has been absolutely outstanding. Just reward him the Conn Smythe Trophy right now. Save percentage of .947. Are you kidding me? But I absolutely loved what he did. I believe it was after Game 4. Literally right after the game. Of course, we talked a lot about the Humboldt Broncos and the tragedy, which claimed 16 lives. The 2 sons of the coach of Humboldt went into the locker room, and it was as genuine can be. Marc-Andre Fleury, absolutely a great guy. He spent lots of time with these kids, and boy, if you didn't have a tear in your eye after watching this and seeing somebody that just was performing at the top of his game and did that after the game, I just thought was an awesome, awesome thing, and why hockey is so awesome and why it's my favorite sport of the 4 North American, because not only do you get the great action on the ice, but you get the great guys off the ice, and this is one of the best examples that I can think of.
Thanks for tuning into the game on Eagle 95.1. Tune in every Monday night at 6 for local sports talk on The Game from the Wicked Sister on Ashman in downtown Sault Ste. Marie.
Or you can find the link on our Eagle 95.1 Facebook page.
We now return you to your regularly scheduled program.
Eagle 95.1 WUPN Paradise, Sault Ste. Marie.